During the same time period of the run-up to the election, the Minister Avakov had said some especially candid things about then-candidate Trump on some various social media platforms. Are you aware of that?
Yes, as a result of the deposition, okay. The previous deposition.
Looking back on his comments in hindsight, do you see how that might create a perception that a very influential Ukrainian was advocating against then-candidate Trump?
That he was doing what? I'm sorry?
Just advocating. He was out to get him. I mean, he said some real nasty things.
Well, sometimes that happens on social media. And are you asking me whether it's appropriate? Probably not.
You certainly can understand that the president, aware of Minister Avakov's statements, aware of what Mr. Leshenko was up to, what Ambassador Charlie was up to, and these other elements that we've discussed, that there certainly forms a reasonable basis to wonder whether there are influential elements of the Ukrainian establishment that were out to get the president.
Again, I can't speak for what President Trump thought or what others thought. I would just say that those elements that you've recited don't seem to me to be the Ukrainian, kind of a plan or a plot of the Ukrainian government to work against President Trump or anyone else. They're isolated incidents. Mm-hmm. We all know, I'm coming to find out myself, that public life can be, people are critical. And that does not mean that someone is, or a government is undermining either a campaign or interfering in elections.
Mr. Stewart, you're recognized.
Madam Ambassador, as you see it here before us, very simply and directly, do you have any information regarding the President of the United States accepting any bribes?
No.
Do you have any information regarding any criminal activity that the President of the United States has been involved with at all?
No.
Thank you. Thank you for answering that directly. The American people know this is nonsense. The American people know this is unfair. And I have a prediction regarding this. I think that public support for impeachment is actually going to be less when these hearings are over than it is when the hearings began. Because finally, the American people are going to be able to see the evidence. And they're going to be able to make their own determination regarding that.
It's not the end of a Hallmark movie. It's the end of a really bad reality TV show. You previously testified that you sought advice from Ambassador Sondland at this time about what to do. Is that correct?
I did.
And why did you reach out to the ambassador?
Because this was clearly so political and was not going to be, the State Department was not in a position, shall we say, to manage the issue. It didn't appear to me. And so I asked Ambassador Sondland, who said that he was a political appointee. He said he was close to the president. And so I reached out to him for advice.
And what was his advice?
Well, he suggested that I needed to go big or go home. And he said that the best thing to do would be to send out a tweet, praise the president, that sort of thing.
And what was your reaction to that advice?
Well, my reaction was that I'm sure he meant well, but it was not advice that I could really follow. It felt it felt partisan, it felt political, and I just, that was not something that I thought was in keeping with my role as ambassador and a foreign service officer.
I want to know about you personally and how this has affected you personally and your family.
Yeah, it's been a difficult time. I mean, I'm a private person. I don't want to put all that out there, but it's been a very, very difficult time because the president does have the right to have his own or her own ambassador in every country in the world.
But does the president have the right to actually malign people's character? I mean,
there's a question as to why the kind of campaign to get me out of Ukraine happened. Because all the president has to do is say he wants a different ambassador. And in my line of work, perhaps in your line of work as well, all we have is our reputation. And so this has been a very painful period.
how has it affected your family?
I really don't want to get into that, but thank you for asking.
Because I do care.
Surrounding your removal, I think the facts are pretty clear. There was a smear campaign. I'm angry, like my friend from Connecticut. In fact, I'm very angry about how it is the most powerful person on the face of the earth would remove you from office after your stellar service and somehow feel compelled to characterize you as bad news and then to ominously threaten that you're going to go through some things. So I am angry. But I'm not surprised. There is nothing, Ambassador Yovanovitch, nothing he can say or do, not a thing, that will in any way diminish the nature and quality of the service you have rendered to our great nation. Not a thing. And there is not a thing he can say or do that will diminish our gratitude to you for that service. And I thank you again for it.
Thank you.